السلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. In the life of every human being, there is two lines. There's two lines. A line that a person wants to live. Dreams, motivation, desire. It's a line in which what they want to be. The second line is the line decreed by Allah. The first line does not exist. It only exists in our mind. People, they want this and they want to be this and want to be this. However, they achieve a lot of these things. But in reality, it was confined within the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Allah, whoever wants this worldly life will give him as much as they want, but not for all of them, for some of them. People, they will be admiring, watching, and the other, they doing all the fahisha and things, and both they are in the sin in the same. The line of the life that decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the line that you cannot escape. Is the line that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to have it happen because it's happening through the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does it mean that we are forced or controlled? No. But only happen what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree for you. That's why the believer, through the way of the guidance, they'll manage their life based on the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the decree of Allah? There is the universal decree. There is no way for us to know it. Falling sick, having a disease, dying early age, young age, having an accident, those are universal decrees. Nobody can control them. But what you can control is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed you to do. And then the line that decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through according to those instructions. فَمَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. The one who gives and he believes in the hereafter and the paradise, and he gave and the donate to show proof of his iman, will make easy for him the path to paradise. وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى. What is going to be? Make easy for them, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, the hellfire. So the believer should not follow the trend of the society where people, they engage you in things to know, like, I want to be this. Yeah, I want to be this within which perspective? If you don't put it in the perspective of your travel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are creating a lifestyle that really does not exist only in your mind. That's why people, every time they stumble to the decree of Allah, they say, why? Why is happening? He said, because you're being heedless. You're living a life that does not exist. It's in your mind, it's in your heart, it's what you want. Allah gives us many examples in the Quran. The best of the example is the story of Yusuf and his father Yaqub alayhi salam. It's an amazing story. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the things He said is the best of the story. Where the scholars of the tafsir, they say Ahsanul Qasas is all of the story of the Quran, and some of them they say Ahsanul Qasas is the particular one, Surah Yusuf. If you look at Surah Yusuf, is the line of the life decreed by Allah. So Yusuf alayhi salam and Yaqub, they lived their life. So in this life there is a balance. What is this balance? Look, when the brother of Yusuf, they recognized him, what did he say? قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف? Are you Yusuf? Yes. Look what he said in whole to summarize everything. قال إنه من يتقي ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. Whoever who make taqwa and patience, Allah will not waste the action of the good doers. What does it mean? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. What does it mean? If you pray all your life, will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala neglect your prayer? Will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say in the hereafter, Ta'ala Allah, I don't have anything, a prayer here. Will Allah will come in the day of judgment, He said, you don't have, the prayer is not rewarded. Right? So one of the aspects in our aqidah does not change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you to pray, He will hold you accountable. Allah will not change. He will not change His mind. Subhanahu. He does not have the aspect of bada'ah like some of the crooked people in aqidah, in some of the early generations they were claiming. Subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yaquluna uluwan kabira. Now, if you understand this, yattaqi wa yasbir. So, when you are, subhanallah, you live your life the way you want. اعملوا ما شئتم. Do whatever you want. Allah is watching. Now, when you know Allah is watching, you want Allah to help you and be your guardian in this life, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you make Allah your enemy. Right. So whatever happened to you in your life, like Yusuf alayhi salam and Yaqub, so you do, and for example, you want to do your study, you want to do the thing, and this is, by the way, the story of Yusuf is like the story of every one of us. Don't take the details, took, subhanallah, the meaning. You're living your life, and some difficulty happened to you. In the way of Yusuf and Yaqub, how they faced this difficulty? With patience. You want to do things, it does not happen. What you gonna do? Rebel? You're gonna be patient, because you know it's from Allah. Did not Yusuf wish it to leave the prison? He asked the person, he said, can you please mention me, my name, that I'm innocent here? That person eager to go, and Rabbah is like the king, to serve the king, to tell him, there is an innocent person, this shaitan make him forget. You think the shaitan is clever to make him forget? It was Allah's plan for the shaitan to make him forget. Remember, the shaitan is serving the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he thinking that, doing a great work for himself and for his soul. So Yusuf want to come out. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him to stay in the prison for up to 7 years. Bid'a sinin, up to 7 years. Can you imagine? How Yusuf alayhi salam faced these 7 years? Sabr. So when you have a difficulty and you have confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just activate the virtue of sabr, like the engine. I have to work on the engine. Why? Because the relief is coming with no doubt. When? Allah knows. It took for Yusuf 7 years. Now Yusuf, when he was invited and sent like a messenger of the king to get him out, he didn't want to come out. You see the difference? He was in the beginning want to come out from the prison. When the king sent him to come out, he said, no, go back. Ask him first about the incident that happened, these women and things. And then, in this line of this life, what is your purpose? The main purpose that you need to maintain is to obey Allah and avoid sinning. Avoid violating. Why? Because when you do violate the way of Allah, that's it. Everything crumble. Everything, subhanAllah, you turning to embracing a life filled with anguish and distress. It is the law of Allah. That's the decree of Allah. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had Yusuf alayhi salam for us as example, to live their life. Look, you see in the Quran always in Surah Yusuf, ma'adallah. What do you mean ma'ad? I seek refuge with Allah, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, he was seduced by the wife of the Aziz, a young man, a slave. What will hold him back to not doing such an obscenity is the fear of Allah. So what he activated, what engine he activated? Taqwa. Taqwa. And he's been observing the taqwa all his life to be always staying on at the istiqamah. So for us, you have two great engine or virtue that you have to activate. The taqwa to help you be steadfast on istiqamah, and the sabr to help you be waiting in a beautiful sabr like Yaqub alayhi salam. What is the foundation of the taqwa and the sabr? How can be easy for you to practice it, to observe it, to activate it when you are in need? Is your certainty in the promise of Allah. Did not Allah promise you to help you? Huh? So why you doubt? Did not Allah promise you to provide you? Then why you doubt? Did not Allah promise you subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you His blessing and mercy? Then why you doubt? There is personal thing you cannot control. Yaqub alayhi salam, he lost his sight because he loved so much his son Yusuf. Did he doubt? Every time he say, I know what you do not know. What he knows? He knows that Allah promised him he's going to see his son. 40 years. How did he know? It's the vision. It's the dream that Yusuf saw. Yaqub, he told him, Allah is going to give you this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bestow upon you the interpretation of the dream. He knew. That's why the first thing, the subhanallah, the celebration of Yaqub, it was not his son. When the person that brought him the glad tidings and he threw the shirt of Yusuf on his face and his sight, he regained back his sight. What did he say the first thing? Did I not tell you, I know from Allah that you do not know? I have the certainty, I have yaqeen that Allah is going to bring him back. And what Yusuf said to his father, the first thing after they prostrate, he said, Father, this is the interpretation of the dream. Allah made it to be true. So if we are truly believers, look at Yaqub. Truly, the more you study this beautiful surah, the true great hero, if we say hero, if you put what is the first name to go, or it's like if you have like Yusuf alayhi salam, the surah, who's the first name? Is Yaqub. Then comes Yusuf. Because that power of sabr that he had, it was empowered, and its foundation is the yaqeen in the promise of Allah. If you cultivate that yaqeen into your heart, then you will have the two greatest weapons in your life, the sabr and the taqwa. And Allah, you will see how He deal with you, because you will earn then the title of محسن. فاجعلنا اللهم من المحسنين. انتوا بالصلاة يا أخوانكم.